Hi guys, today we're going to do Access Chapter 1. So we're done with Word and Excel, and I know Excel was an interesting chapter. Now we're going to move on to Access. So Access kind of takes the relationships of Excel and takes them to a new level. Access is a series of tables that have correlating data, and then you can relate those tables together. So for instance, you might have a table, like in this case, in this one, you've got author and books. So the author, one author can have many different books. And if you put it all into one spreadsheet, as we saw in some of the Excel stuff, you're going to have that author's name repeated many times. Well, in a database, you can list that author one time, and then in another table, you can list all of the books and put that author's ID in that book. Or with that book. So then it correlates the author to those books with only having to put that author in one time. It also allows for easier updating. If you have an author that has published many books and you have the name of the author and maybe their address, and then the author moves. Okay, so you either have to update the author's address however many times you have them listed in for the book in Excel, or you can update that author's address one time in Access and it will update it for every single book. So those are a couple of examples. And then we use queries to be able to pull information. It's basically asking those tables, what's this information? These are the fields that I want, so only display these fields. And then forms are just a way to make your data look pretty instead of in like a spreadsheet format. And then of course you can run reports. So chapter 1 is going to just start introducing you to getting around Access, entering in information, changing some field types, and do a query and a report or two, but nothing too terribly complicated. So make sure you've opened up your database. The databases, it's especially important that if you download everything as a zip file, that you extract that zip file and start that database directly from there. It's extremely important that you do not open the database through Word or through Internet Explorer or Chrome. Make sure it gets downloaded and saved to your computer, and then you go to that file in the operating system through your file manager and open it up that way. Do not open it up through your browser. It's going to cause so many problems in saving and being able to get to it. It's just not worth it. Make sure you save it to your hard drive. Okay. So we're going to create a new table in Design View. So we're going to go to the Create tab, and we're going to do a table design. So when it says Design View, that means you're going to do table design. This would be creating a new table, and it's in a like a spreadsheet view. So we're going to go to Table Design, and this is where we're only seeing the information about the table itself. We're not seeing any of the data that's in these fields. So we're going to name these fields. We want to do pub ID. Make sure in Excel or in Access here is also extremely important that you capitalize where it tells you to capitalize and make it lowercase where it tells you to be lowercase. Spaces where they tell you spaces. If you I haven't done it on this one, but in one of these fields, this pub zip that we're going to do here in a minute, I have the habit of putting an uppercase Z and a lowercase I and a lowercase p. The problem is, if it's not the same, they want it all capital, and everything that references that pub zip gets counted wrong because I have that capitalization wrong. And once you've done it that way, it's very difficult to go back and change it because there's so much that depends on that field name that Access runs into problems in actually changing that uppercase to lowercase. It just doesn't like to do it, and you're going to have to start all over in order to get those points back. Okay, so we've got pub ID and all these others, we're going to accept the short text as the data type for all the fields. So I'm just going to hit tab and you'll see the default is short text. Then we want pub name, pub address, pub city. Whoops. Well, it would help if I tabbed enough. Pub city, pub state, and pub zip. All capitals for that zip. Okay. We're going to set the pub ID field as the primary key. So if you just click in the pub ID field here, you have a button here that says primary key. Click that and you'll see the little key that goes on next to it in that first grayed out column. The primary key is a way that identifies a single row of data. So the primary key is going to be unique. It has to be unique. It cannot have duplicates. Because if you're going to search on a primary key, it should return one and only one record of data. Okay, we're going to save this table as publishers, and we're going to view the table in Datasheet View. So I'm going to right click here on table 1, and I'm going to say save, and I'm going to call it publishers. Say OK. And then I'm going to go to Datasheet View. So now we're going to start entering in data. Make sure, again, your capitalization is done. Okay, so that's one. When you hit tab again, it's automatically going to go and start a new line. And you will continue on with all of the fields. Okay, once you have all the data entered, then you can close the table. So you can right click on here and say close. You can also come over here to the right hand side and hit this X. Just don't hit this X. This X closes out the program. This X only closes out that table query or form. So I'm going to say close and we're good to go. Step 5. We're going to open the books table and create a new record. So you can either right click on here and say open, or you can just double click on it and it's going to open it up in Datasheet View. Now remember, you have to be in Datasheet View in order for you to be able to enter in data. Okay, Design View allows you to add more fields and gives you a whole bunch of different options, but you can't actually enter in data. You must be in Design View to be able to enter in data. So our author code is 15. The title is The Innocence Game. ISBN. Publisher. Okay, so that information is entered. We're going to sort the records in the books table by the pub ID or the publication date in descending order. So I'm going to just click here on PLBL date, and I'm going to we want it in descending order, so we're going to say largest to smallest. So this will allow us to sort, and you'll see we have now a date here. And then you can save and close the table. Because we made a change to the layout of the table by adding this sort, it is going to ask you to save the table, and so we will. Step 7, we're going to open the main authors form. So we're going to open authors. And, oh, I'm sorry, that's the table. We want the form. The maintain authors form here. And we want to go to record 2, So down here is your records. Don't look, this is a subform, okay? And we're not looking at these records. We're looking down here at the main records of authors. So we're going to go to the second record, which is Keith Mulberry. And we're going to add a new title to the subform. So basically, this is here a list of the books that Keith Mulberry has written. And he came out with the 3rd edition of that book. Okay. And then we're going to use the navigation bar to search for author ID 16. So I'm going to come in here. This is our search in our nav bar here. And we're going to do 16. And you can see it comes with author ID 16. And then edit the subform so the stock amount is 6 instead of 496 for the book Follow the Stars Home. So in here, we're going to scroll over here, and you'll see here this is 496 and they want it just to be 6. Okay, and we can close this author's form. So what this has done is that when you enter in stuff here, it actually changes the data that's in this books table. So if I open this books table and I look at Follow the Stars Home, you'll see the quantity amount, the stock amount is updated to 6. And here is that one that we just entered in ourselves. It wasn't there before. Okay, so close the maintain authors. Then we're going to open the publisher's book and author's report. So we're going to double click on that, and we're going to check that the report shows 3 books listing Keith Mulberry as author. Okay, so if we look at Mulberry, you can see here it has 3 books. View the layout of the report in print preview. Under view, we're going to say print preview. So this is what it's going to look like when it's printed. And then we're going to open the publisher's books and author's query. So we want to double click this query, and we're going to sort the query by publisher's name in ascending order. So the publisher's name, we're going to sort from A to Z. Okay, then we're going to use the filter by selection to show only the books by the author whose name is Stephen. Okay, so for our filtering by selection, it's going to be under this advanced here, or let's see, filter by selection. So we're going to come in here. We want whose author's name is Stephen. So if you select Stephen and then do this selection here, and we're going to say equals Stephen, and that's only going to list those authors whose name is Stephen. Now we're going to sort the query by title in ascending order. And then we are going to save and close this query. So save it and then close it. Okay, and you can close this publisher's report too. Okay, now we're going to open the books table. And we're going to use the filter by form to create a filter that will identify all books published after 2010 with fewer than 100 items in stock. Okay, so we are going to go to this advanced here under sort and filter and say filter by form. And that's going to open up this. Anything you put in here along this line is going to be an AND condition. If you want an OR condition, you're going to click on this tab here to add the OR condition. So in our case, we want any publishers or any books that were published after 2010. So publication date, we want to say greater than 2010. And then fewer than 100 items in stock. So we're going to say less than 100. And then once you've done that, you can toggle your filter, and you're going to see here only those books that are greater than 2010 and have a stock amount of less than 100 are displayed. So we're going to save that table and close it. And then we're done. Close everything, close out your database, and you can submit it, and you're good to go. And we will see you for Access Chapter 2. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.